And a man has been sentenced to death by hanging for the murder of 4 toddlers at a nursery school in Uganda's capital, Kampala, earlier this month. On the 2nd of April, Christopher Okello Onyem, 38, entered the Gaba Early Childhood Development Programme and fatally stabbed the infants Eteku Gideon, Keisha Agenawoth, Seruyange Ignatius and Odeke Ryan, all aged between 1 and 2 years old. And US prosecutors have accused the sitting governor of Mexico's Sinaloa state, Ruben Rocha Moya, of conspiring with cartel drug traffickers. Rocha Moya, who hails from the party of Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, is charged alongside 9 other current and former Mexican government officials.
The detained former Myanmar leader Aung San Suu Kyi has been moved to house arrest. The country's state media has reported. The 80-year-old Nobel laureate has been held in detention, probably in a military prison in the capital Nay Pyi Taw, since she was removed from office in a military coup in 2021. The National Highways and Motorway Police, NHNP, has launched a cashless payment system for driving license fees, allowing citizens to pay digitally without visiting banks. The system was inaugurated by Deputy Inspector General Operations Asghar Ali as part of efforts to simplify public service delivery and improve convenience for applicants. An Israeli grain importer has said it will not receive the cargo of a ship allegedly carrying stolen Ukraine grain after the vessel became the focus of a major diplomatic spat between the two countries. The Israel Grain Importers Association said that the cargo, which Kyiv says was stolen by Russia from occupied Ukrainian territories and had been scheduled to be unloaded at the port of Haifa, would need to go elsewhere.
A spat between the US and Germany has reached new heights, with US President Donald Trump threatening to pull some American troops from the country amid disagreements about the US-led campaign in Iran. The United States is studying and reviewing the possible reduction of troops in Germany, with a determination to be made over the next short period of time. Trump wrote on his Truth Social platform Wednesday night.
The Confederation of African Football, CAF, says it is backing FIFA President Gianni Infantino's bid for a 4th term as head of football's global governing body. In a statement after a meeting before the FIFA Congress in Vancouver, CAF said it had unanimously agreed to support Infantino when the FIFA chief stands for re-election in 2026.
Explosions rocked Mali's capital on April 25 as rebels carried out coordinated attacks across the country. Mali's defence minister was killed along with his wife and children when an attacker struck their home, with Bamako under siege and the military leadership briefly disappearing from view. Who is really behind the violence in Mali? In this episode,
Elon Musk's X is still trying to woo back advertisers, this time with a rebuilt AI-powered ads platform that started to roll out on Thursday. The tech company initially struggled to grow ad revenue in the first few years of Musk's reign, leading it to shift its focus to other monetization channels, including AI and subscriptions. However, forecasts from eMarketer indicate that X's ad business has been turning around as of late, with estimated ad revenue of $2.26 billion in 2025, rising to $2.46 billion in 2026. While that's still half the size of Twitter's 2021 ad business, it's headed in the right direction again. Practice by Numbers, the developer of a patient management software used in thousands of dentist offices, has fixed a security flaw that exposed the private health records of patients on a portal that comes bundled with the software. TechCrunch has learned one patient, Joseph R. Cox, reported the bug to TechCrunch after he encountered on the portal while looking at his own dental records on the portal, which was offered by his dentist's office.
VC firm 137 Ventures announced Thursday that it has raised more than $700 million across two new growth stage funds to back startups with the potential for significant market impact. In the past year, the firm, founded by former Founders Fund investor Justin Fishner-Wolfson, said it has deployed more than $1 billion into companies building in defense, AI and industrial systems. Its portfolio includes AI agent company Cognition, AI-powered manufacturing company Hadrian Automation and defense company Anduril. Uber's forthcoming luxury robotaxi service with Lucid Motors and Nuro is getting a fourth partner, Hertz. The companies announced Thursday that Hertz will provide day-to-day vehicle asset management, including charging, maintenance, repairs, cleaning and depot staffing. The service, announced last year, is supposed to launch by the end of 2026 in the San Francisco Bay Area, using Lucid's Gravity SUVs and Nuro's self-driving tech.
Artificial intelligence continues to advance at a dizzying clip, forcing enterprises to develop and release new products quicker than ever, or risk becoming irrelevant to a faster-moving competitor. Salesforce believes it has found a strategy that allows it to keep up, even if it isn't clear where AI is headed next. The customer management software giant is crowdsourcing its AI roadmap in real time. Islamabad. The Privatization Commission announced on Thursday that the consortium led by Arif Habib Corporation Limited has notified it of its intent to acquire the remaining 25% equity stake in Pakistan International Airlines Corporation Limited, PIACL, paving the way for full private sector ownership of the national carrier. It said that the total private sector investment in the transaction was expected to amount to approximately Rs 180 billion, comprising a minimum of 55 billion payable to the government as divestment proceeds and Rs 125 BN to be injected as fresh equity into PIL to support the airline's recapitalization.
And Islamabad. After skipping Adiala jail visits for 2 consecutive weeks, PTI leaders on Thursday managed to reach the prison for a meeting with incarcerated party founder Imran Khan, which was once again denied. The Islamabad High Court, IHC, has allowed Imran twice-a-week meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays with his family, lawyers and other associates. Despite court orders, Imran's meetings with the family and the party leaders have been largely restricted.
Lindsey Vonn is still recovering physically and emotionally from her frightening crash at the Winter Olympics. For now, the tough decisions about the future can wait. The American ski racer has undergone 8 surgeries after suffering a complex left leg fracture, one that nearly led to a leg amputation in the women's downhill skiing race on February 8 in Cortina d'Ampezzo, Italy. She needs at least one more to repair a torn anterior cruciate ligament, ACL, in that same knee. Israel has intercepted 22 out of the 58 aid ships traveling through international waters and bound for the besieged Gaza Strip. The ships make up part of a second global Sumud flotilla to try in recent months to break an Israeli blockade by carrying humanitarian aid to Palestinians in Gaza. They sailed from the Spanish port of Barcelona on April 12.
And Gulf leaders gathered in Riyadh this week for their first in-person meeting since the outbreak of the US-Israel war with Iran. Alongside security concerns, they also discussed expediting long-standing joint projects under the umbrella of the Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC. These initiatives span transport, energy, water security and defence. They aim to deepen economic ties and strengthen collective resilience.
Politics and human rights will take centre stage when leading figures of the football world meet for FIFA's 76th Congress in Canada, weeks before the North American nation co-hosts the World Cup with the United States and Mexico. The Iran war, logistical issues surrounding the World Cup and the unresolved question of Russia's international ban are set to feature in discussions among roughly 200 member associations from more than 200 member associations.
And Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, PIF, has confirmed funding to the breakaway LIV Golf League would be cut after the 2026 season. LIV Golf announced on Thursday a new board and a new business strategy as it tries to forge ahead without Saudi funding, which allowed the league to launch nearly 4 years ago with oversized contracts and prize funds.
Islamabad, despite a healthy primary balance of 3.3% of gross domestic product, GDP at home, the Ministry of Finance on Thursday warned that Pakistan's external sector may be facing risks owing to emerging global uncertainties and regional supply disruptions amid a higher rate of inflation. External demand may remain supportive in some markets, but the balance of risk becomes less favorable than in a pre-war setting, the ministry said in its monthly economic update and outlook for April 2026.
Justices Babar Sattar and Mohsin Akhtar Kayani will begin presiding over proceedings at the Peshawar High Court, PHC, and Lahore High Court, LHC, respectively, in the coming week following their recent transfers from the Islamabad High Court, IHC. Their transfers, along with that of IHC Judge Saman Rafat Imtiaz to the Sindh High Court, were approved by the Judicial Commission of Pakistan, JCP, on April 28 and notified by the Law Ministry on April 29 amid criticism from lawyers' bodies. Armed violence has intensified in Mali since Saturday after an al-Qaeda-linked armed group working with separatists attacked several military bases across multiple cities, including areas where senior government officials live, and took control of the northern city of Kidal. Malian Defence Minister Sadio Kamara and his family were killed in their home in Kati, a military garrison close to the capital, Bamako, the government announced on Sunday. Armed groups have announced that they are laying siege to Bamako.
And the Panama Canal has emerged as the latest maritime flashpoint, with the United States and China exchanging barbs in recent weeks over influence in what is one of the world's most important shipping routes. Earlier this week, Washington and its allies in the region accused Beijing of detaining and holding up Panama-linked ships and claimed China's actions were a blatant attempt to politicize maritime trade. And the United States Supreme Court has voided a key provision of a landmark civil rights law by ruling that the electoral map of Louisiana had been drawn up unconstitutionally to create 2 black majority districts. The decision represents a major reinterpretation of the landmark Voting Rights Act of 1965, in particular, its provision designed to protect minority voters from having their political power diluted.
The trial of 4 Indonesian soldiers accused of carrying out an acid attack on an activist who had campaigned against the expanding role of the armed forces in government has begun in a military court in Jakarta. The case has drawn national and international attention, with experts describing the soldiers' alleged actions as part of a broader pattern of repression amid growing concerns over rising military influence and democratic backsliding in Indonesia.
Speaking at a televised cabinet meeting on March 26, the U.S. Secretary of Defense boasted of U.S. military successes against Iran in the ongoing war. Never in recorded history has a nation's military been so quickly and so effectively neutralized, he said, seated next to U.S. President Donald Trump. The very next day, Iran fired missiles and drones that struck a U.S. base in Saudi Arabia, wounding several U.S. soldiers and destroying a radar surveillance plane that cost 700 meters. The federal government has refused to restore gas supply to CNG stations in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, according to official sources. Sources said provincial finance advisor Muzammil Aslam contacted Federal Petroleum Minister Ali Pervez Malik by phone and later briefed the chief minister on the response received from the centre.
And a total of 287 candidates are under consideration for the 2026 Nobel Peace Prize, the Secretary of the Norwegian Nobel Committee said Thursday, with US President Donald Trump likely among the nominees. Reuters reported. Christian Berg Hartbecken said this year's list includes 208 individually 79 organizations. He also noted that the committee has seen many new names compared with last year.
OnePlus and Realme are reportedly preparing to merge into a single operating entity, according to a new report from China. Both companies already operate under the same parent entity, BBK Electronics. The report said the combined business would be led by Li Jie, who would report directly to Pete Lau, also known as Liu Zuohu. If completed, the move would likely see both brands combine product development, business strategy and internal resources.